Hello, my name's James Brown. I'm one of the developers on Gang Beasts, and you're watching Eurogamer.
Greetings gamers, Ian Higton from Eurogamer here! Most people's game of EGX Resd 2014 was Alien Isolation, which is understandable. It wasn't mine though. My game of the show was Gang Beasts, and why was that, you may ask? Well, one of the reasons was because when I played it with some other members of the Gamer Network, it made us laugh like this.
I've got you by the crotch!
No, don't jump off. Why are you pulling it by? To the uninitiated amongst us, this footage may just look like drunken jelly babies staging some kind of virtual pub brawl, and, well, it kind of is at the moment, which is part of the charm, but there's more to it and even more to come. Here's James Brown from developers Boneloaf to tell us more.
We think of Gang Beasts as a kind of physics-based sandbox fighting game. So it's kind of, if you can think about where you might like to fight somebody, where you might like to fight against your friends, we're just trying to make that happen. So we're just kind of introducing a satisfying punch mechanic, various different simplified contextual fight moves, so you can elbow people, punch people, duck to kind of get an uppercut in or something like that, and then just try and stage them in kind of environments where there's some kind of hostile or dangerous element that you can kind of knock somebody unconscious, throw them into something, and just have big kind of melee fighting kind of standoffs. Currently it's a 4-player game. We have an experimental 10-player build for events and festivals, but we're probably not going to release that just because of the kind of performance requirements of that. But we're just interested in how people play the game, and we're kind of look at how like a tournament mode might work, or King of the Hill, all these different game modes. We're looking at support that. We want to make it as a very customizable game so people can have the kind of experience that they want to have and just fight against each other.
There's an interesting control scheme in Gang Beasts which gives the game a surgeon simulator stroke QWOP kind of vibe. Can you tell us how it works?
You have a button for the left punch and a button for the right punch, so you can actually extend the punch so you can grab each other, so you could actually grab somebody with your left hand and be punching them with the right hand, but there is now in the latest versions of the game there's a grip strength, so you can't hold on forever and just continually kind of pummel somebody, and this mechanic kind of works for grabbing surfaces, so you can kind of hang off the trucks, try and recover, try and get back on the top of them, things like that. There is also a climbing mechanic which is we're working on, which will allow some level of recovery. Because one of the most interesting things about the game is kind of having a reversal, so you think you're going to win, you think you've kind of defeated your opponent, and somehow they manage to kind of contrive a blow that somehow changes the power of the fight, so you can make some kind of full recovery and then become the victor. It's not balletic in the sense of kind of a really precise game mechanic. It's much more sloppy than that, but that's where a lot of the hilarity comes from. So I mean, for us it's constantly surprising. We see something new every time we play it, and that's been going on for months now, so we're hopeful that it's the same experience for everybody.
I'm famously utterly rubbish at fighting games, but I still managed to win a few rounds thanks to the sometimes random nature of the combat. Was this an important design choice to make the game an even battleground, or have you included more strategic elements for pro players?
So a casual gamer always has a chance of beating an experienced gamer. Like our sister, we're 3 brothers, our sister beats us up. So we wanted to kind of support that. There's always a chance, but there is still a level of skill. You can get better at throwing, at timing the punches, those kind of things. So there is a strategic element, especially on some of the levels where there's a lot of movement, some of the more dynamic levels. There is kind of strategy, and we want to support more of that as we build the game. But there's always a fighter's chance.
Some people may not be aware that the cute little jelly baby looking fighters in Gang Beasts are only temporary placeholder graphics. If you take a look at the title screen here, you can see an example of how Boneloaf intends the brawlers to look in the future, but they will also be heavily supporting customization. Why be that, James Brown? Why?
We've played a lot of local multiplayer games. We played a lot of wrestling games historically, and we always made the kind of freakish, interesting characters to fight each other with, and that was a lot of the kind of joy and fun of playing those games, was just seeing something you've made in those kind of contexts. So that's one of the key reasons why we want to support customization. The idea that a gang could build, a gang of friends could build their own gang of fighters and go up against other gangs is kind of something we would really like to realise.
The locations in Gang Beasts have just as much to do with the overall hilarity of the experience as the combat mechanics. What kind of levels and locations are available now, and how do you plan to expand on these in the future?
At the moment, there's I think 9 or 10 levels, and we're just prototyping like these interesting environments where there's always some hazardous element that you can kind of use to your advantage, and we're kind of learning about how those mechanics might work. And every stage that we've included is kind of built around that. The one stage that is different is the kind of co-op single-player, co-op multiplayer kind of story mode, which is very similar to something like Streets of Rage or Final Fight, which is a big influence on this game. But yeah, at the moment we have like a trucks level with moving trucks that you can jump from and throw people from. We have these kind of window cleaning gondolas where you can smash the ropes and have them drop to the ground. We have industrial machinery. It's probably going to feature quite heavily in the game. We have a furnace. Anything that is potentially dangerous to you, that if you come in contact with it, it's going to hurt you. That's what we want to put in the game. Throwing people to their death is kind of probably a key feature, and it's kind of one of the more fun things to do, because if you incapacitate somebody, pick them up. Once you've kind of got that dominant position. And then obviously your attempts to throw them to their death often fail, and that's kind of one of the funnest elements of the game. So at the moment we're just kind of learning about what works in those situations, but there will be sequences of these kind of different districts, so there'll be like a meat packing district with a lot of industrial machinery, and there'll be kind of a narrative flow through that, but a very simple basic narrative kind of antagonist, protagonist, just your gang versus their gang, basically. We don't need it to be any more complicated than that, so very much Double Dragon, Renegade, Bad Dudes versus Dragon Ninja, those kind of games.
It sounds like the current build of Gang Beasts is just a tiny glimpse of the big picture for your game. What other additions are you planning to make down the line?
It's very, very interesting how different people play it. There's a lot of people kind of exploring and kind of exploiting the level design, so there's people knocking people out, dragging dumpsters around, stacking bodies and climbing up walls, and stuff like that's just amazing for us, because it's a proper engagement that people are doing with the game. So we want to try and support more of that as well, because there's a lot of scope for co-op play, saving people, rescuing people, that kind of stuff. So like the duck mechanic will allow people to jump on your back to reach higher levels, and when the climbing mechanic's fully in, then there'll be a lot of scope for exploration in that way as well. So we want to include those kind of sandbox play, that so we can pace it so it's not just pure brutal violence. There are a lot of kind of more just playful moments. We are looking at trying to support online as well. We just need to be careful about network latency, because the controls are somewhat awkward and sloppy. That's where a lot of the hilarity comes from. There's going to be a lot of play, I think, for network latency not having a significant impact on the game. But the idea that you could build your own gang and go against another gang online is kind of one of the kind of beautiful ideas about the game that we'd like to see through.
At the moment, the game is a great fit for 4-player local couch-based co-op, and it would really suit some kind of home console release. Is this something you guys are looking at doing, or will you be sticking solely with PCs?
We'd like to be on all current generation consoles. We've kind of in conversation with some of those platforms about doing that. We just haven't really got anything to announce right now, but hopefully soon we'll be able to say which consoles we're supporting.
Sweet! Gang Beasts running on a console during a boozy house party would be the best thing ever. Thanks for speaking to us, James. If you guys at home want to give Gang Beasts a try now, which I totally suggest you do, you can head on over to indiedb.com and download the current build for free, while the early access alpha build on Steam will be coming sometime in the near future. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please do like the video and subscribe to Eurogamer if you want to be in our gang. We won't make you do any dodgy initiations or get a silly tattoo, unless you really want to, I guess, but we will be giving you awesome exclusive content and interactive live streams of new and unreleased games daily, which is beast. Goodbye.